Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
Doomatron activated.
The Doomatron's activated. Welcome back to another episode here on the Boxing Biz Podcast Show. As soon as you hit that like button, that's right. As soon as you come in, hit that like button, please, as I duly appreciate it. Get that out of the way, of course, me asking. But I'm looking forward to giving you a crazy show full of questions, full of comparisons. This is what can I say? This is a David versus Goliath fight. David versus Goliath. We're at the second presser in this fight. We are in the second presser. Just took place in Miami. If you guys missed it, the presser took place just a little while ago here on the East Coast in Florida. Shout out to all my peeps out there in Florida. And, you know, we almost didn't get this fight, right? Georgia said, no way. This is a crazy fight. We don't want this. This is no good. All right. That's the type of stuff we were getting from the commission. And boom, of course, a commission was going to go ahead and get that fight, or accept the fight, right? It's a big money fight. Big network, Netflix. Ton of stuff happening around it, right? The fight has a lot of attention. But what do we really got here, man? We got a David versus Goliath exhibition fight that, according to what both of these fighters are saying, can turn out to be a knockout. When we saw Jake Paul with Tyson, you know, I don't know if we had that same exact energy, right? You know, remember, this is a younger fighter. Both these guys are young, you know. Jake had to somewhat be respectful to a certain level. But these guys have been going at it. And this is just the second presser. Of course, we're a little over 7 weeks out from this fight. And, I mean, look, you guys saw, if you didn't see it, of course, I'm going to go ahead and put it up on there and share some of the footage from the presser that just took place in Florida about a couple hours ago, right? We're at 8 o'clock right now. So, yeah, a couple hours ago. Let me come on, man. And I appreciate everybody that's tapping in with us across all platforms. Of course, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, and IG, I duly appreciate you guys. And of course, you know, just a reminder, hit that like button as we are continuing to grow the community. And, you know, I've been a little absent. Yeah, I know. You know, I had Canelo on that Terrence Crawford versus Canelo, but that's not the reason why I haven't been on. You know, I just been busy and trying to put some cool things together in the background. But obviously, all credit due to my man T Bud. As one of the times where I'm okay with being wrong, right? Nobody deserved it more. And he fought a perfect fight. That was a side, you know, little segue there. But going back to what we were seeing here, we just saw a super huge fight in Canelo versus Crawford, right? A legitimate boxing match that we tune in for obvious reasons, right? We love the sport, true boxing. This is an exhibition / crazy, you know, just a crazy jump in what we've been seeing in exhibitions, right? With Mike Tyson, it was the age. With Gervonta Davis and Jake, now it's the size, right? But there's also a skill disparity there. So I gotta give I got to give strengths also to Tank, because he's not the only one with the advantages, right? And how heavy do you think the Tank is walking around in right now? He's wearing these puffy coats, big baggy jeans. I mean, this presser right here in Miami, he was wearing a little less. So you got to see a little bit of, you got to see a little bit of the weight, the actual weight, even though he was still wearing baggy clothes. So we don't know what weight, Gervonta is going to be going into this fight. I don't know how much weight he's going to be jumping in. I mean, look, if you really think about it, 195 for Jake, he's not going to go under 195. He's going to get 195 and that's it, right? Make that weight. I think the fight might have been at 190, as in that presser in New York. Tank was toying around with Nikisa from MVP and also Jake Paul around that topic. So just funny things that my man Tank is saying. Just makes you want to think a little bit more about this fight. And of course, people are going to talk, and the more people are talking about the fight, the better, right? Jake Paul has done numbers. He is he's the golden child, right? He's the guy that you're going to make money with and definitely do some numbers. He's been proving it time and time again. And we got to just give credit to Jake on the promotional side. But again, he is the heavier guy. What happens if something like Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul happens, where Logan Paul has a moment where he's like, he's salivating to go viral, maybe on a punch that he would have caught Mayweather. I mean, Mayweather's Mayweather, so, it's hard for me to say that, Mayweather told him, like, yo, you got 30 seconds to wail on me as much as you can. I doubt that was spoken of. That was really real, where Logan really was trying to get, put Floyd Mayweather away. He was trying, much bigger guy. He was trying to put some moxie on his punches, and at the same time in the volume. Y'all saw, and I'll put that video up because it's something to just think about here, And Jake Paul is actually bigger in weight, not in actual looks, Logan's always the guy that looks better, but I think that Jake's just he walks around a little heavier. And that weight in boxing, we know what that means, bro. 195. Let's say we got a 135-pounder that walks around. Let's say that Gervonta drops, let's say at his heaviest 30 pounds. So he's at 165. That's when he's heavy. And he's just you know what now? I just had like a straight up light bulb moment right now, where this is something like what Terrence Crawford just did something great, went up in weight, right? And we got to understand, right? There's one thing that we learned about the Canelo Terrence Crawford is about what to look for in these jumps, right? This is still an exhibition, obviously, but think about it. If he's walking around at 165, and he's comfortable, he's comfortable with that. And now he's been, he's probably been working out. He's probably been doing rounds with that same weight. I'm pretty sure that the people behind Gervonta are doing the right thing. I don't know what weight he needs to come in there to actually not survive, but to be able to withstand any type of punch that Jake might try to throw or land to knock him out. How much weight do you have to have on? This is why I feel like this is a dangerous fight. A lot of people are giving a lot of, they're just giving a lot into he's more experienced. Jake is still a fake boxer. I don't know why we still are getting that Jake, I don't care if it's 5 years, even though Gervonta made it a thing to talk about that. It's still 5 years. You can still learn 5 years. If you're living and breathing boxing for 5 years, that's still, you could get depending. If you could get a good amount of hours in, they always say 10,000 hours in anything, you become a master at it, right? You get your masters, right? So depending on how many hours in those 5 years Jake Paul has really spent dedicated, we just don't know, going into the gyms, making sure that you're working off season or when you're not fighting. There's a lot of things that go into play. But it is about, 17 years, 20 years difference in experience. Tank's been doing this since he was 8, if I'm not mistaken. As a matter of fact, let me see if I put this up right now. All right. There we go. Right. There it goes. The pressers are always dope too, man. I got to give it up to MVP. MVP just knows they know how to put things together, bro. You got to give those guys credit for putting the show together the way they do. Just a couple of highlights. I mean, I had a couple of sound bites, you know. There was just so much going on in this presser. And Gervonta Davis is a funny dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's funny, bro. He had me dying. This guy was funny as hell. And he was getting at everybody in the MVP camp. He was getting at J Love. He really got at J Love. I was like, damn. He was talking mad shit.
Nigga went from a real fighter to a YouTuber. That's how shit go, right? That's how shit go, right?
Yeah, Gervonta had no chill. He's getting at everybody. But Jake Paul, man, I mean, you guys saw the intro soundbite. He's literally paying everybody. At least that's what he was saying right there. And then in the press conference, Gervonta Davis referred to somebody in the front row as 40. Like 40. You heard what he's saying? I don't know what they got going on. There's a lot of funny, like, indirect remarks too. Like, it's just, I don't know. It was just like, you know.
I kick ass for real.
God
what
damn.
you do? You just play around, like, you know, this regular.
Yo, Tank was killing him, bro. And I don't know, you know, I'm not a body language expert, but that made him uncomfortable. When Tank said that, I saw my man Jay get uncomfortable, like, oh, shit. Like, it just makes you think about this whole conspiracy shit, about thinking about people setting fights and all that. But at this point, it's just, these guys are, they're master promoters. It's just, there's always a veil on top of a veil. But listen to it again.
I kick ass for real.
God
what
damn.
you do? You just play around, like, you know, this regular.
You just regular. I don't even know what that meant. I don't know if Tank was trying to clean it up. I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he was trying to clean it up, to be honest with you. Let's tap into the chat, man. And again, man, appreciate all you guys on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, and IG for always tapping in with me. And who do we got here first on the deck is my man Dahara. Says, let's put him up here, matter of fact. My man Dahara says, this is probably the stupidest fight in all of combat sports, in my opinion. Worse than Butterbean. Damn. My bro said worse than Butter. Yo, you didn't like Butterbean, bro? Butterbean used to fucking... He used to do it, man. But I mean, Dahara, why don't you like this fight? You know, I understand that it's the stupidest fight, but like, what do you mean? Do you like the fight? Do you think it's the size difference, the experience? Like, where are you going with this? You know, because, you know, there's a lot of opinions about this fight, and they're all fair. You know, I want to get more insight, obviously, of what the people got to say. You know, tap in. You know, more than welcome to handle the business, right? We on the boxing biz, champ. Matter of fact, you just reminded me too. I'm gonna throw up the link on the chatty. Call him Tatty Patty. All right, here we go. All right, the link is up there. Just pasted it. If you guys want to tap in and maybe talk a little bit about this fight, I'll give you your 3-minute round, right? Put the clock on them. 3 minutes. You tap in and you handle business, right? Let's see. I think I might have started right there. I'm going to start on. Yo, I like Twitch too, man. Shout out to the Twitch fam. The horror swinging back with a left and a right. He says, I can't stand fraud May runner. Yo, y'all be killing me. Fraud May runner. Never heard that one, bro. That's a classic right there. I'm going to have to use that one. Yo, chill. I can't stand all right. I can't stand fraud May runner, but at least he fought Connor. Yeah, he did. Conor and Mayweather to me was obviously a more evened out fight, and I get that. You know, if it would have been somebody that would have been Tank's weight, but you got to understand, Conor was not only a crossover type. Like his fame went beyond MMA at one point, but he was still MMA. You know, Jake Paul, he just adopted boxing like out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And even though y'all might think that this fight is like the stupidest fight, y'all got to give me some valid reasons. I mean, look, I can't stand for Mayweather, but at least he fought Conor, right? All right, my boy The Horror is cooking over here. He says the circus fights are circus fights, like when AJ and Fury fought Ngannou. Okay, but see, MMA, right? But they had a remote sense of being competitive and were pretty equal as far as combat goes. AJ and Ngannou were not nowhere near the same. Remember, it's boxing. I don't care if you did MMA and all that. Unless you were training a lot of boxing early in your MMA career, or maybe you were doing that like somebody like Alex Pereira, who was an actual boxer and I think Golden Gloves winner in Brazil. You know, to actually be, you know, competitive, right? But Ngannou didn't have that, bro. That was a lamb to the slaughter. Ngannou, bro, sometimes it's your day, bro. Tyson Fury took it light or whatnot, and you know, somebody, I don't even know what to tell you, right? Because, you know, when he fought Tyson Fury, obviously we saw what we saw. But at the end of the day, just a good day in the office, bad day for Tyson Fury. But AJ, forget about it. AJ's, that was a lump-sided. It was lump-sided, champy. But yeah, I still got the I still got the presser up. Let's get back to it, matter of fact. And if you are tapping in with us on YouTube, make sure that you're participating in the polls, right? I don't know if you guys back, let me see if I just, there we go. All right, it looks like there is some participation on the polls. We have the poll question: who's under more pressure in this fight? Who? Gervonta Davis? You got to protect that legacy. You got to protect the legacy, right? What happens if he gets hurt? Bro, at this point, Jake Paul big enough that he could punch him in the shoulder and he's going to be, you know what I'm saying? On some big brother shit. When he punched you in the shoulder when you was little, you be rubbing that shit. Jake Paul's that big. He could punch him in the shoulder. He could get hurt. He could get wobbled. I mean, it's an exhibition, right? But like, what are we looking at here? Are we looking at like some WWE? Like you still get your bumps and bruises in wrestling, right? But we know there's a script, right? So it's like, does exhibition mean that? Is that what we're getting into? And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that if you're selling it to me in that manner. But if you're telling me that knockouts are gonna happen and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, you know, you're leather, you know, you're fixing me up for a bad date, right? Because we all know that when it happens, you know, it hasn't happened like that, you know. As far as with these crazy crossovers, you know, Jake Paul's been knocking everybody out. It's just that this is not a regular fight. Like, if he was fighting a guy that was his weight and everything else, it'd be different. I have a different outlook on this, but just, you know, this is a big size difference, huge size difference. And Jake Paul can still, you know, manage to hurt Tank. And Tank has a risk. He has a lot of risk. You know, the poll question says protecting legacy. But then again, you got to talk about Jake Paul. What does Jake Paul have right now going for himself? A lot. He's brought women's boxing to a level that's probably never been. It's never been at. Broken records on all types of forms. And he's also a fighter. First fighter promoter probably, you know, that we've seen, right? That's actually taken two roles at the same time. And now, if he's had this list that he's had for so long, and now he's got to follow this list. Now, if he doesn't follow the list, if he doesn't stay focused on this script that he wrote a while back, it doesn't look good, right? We had some hiccups with Tommy Fury, obviously, with that L he took. So there was some hiccups along the way. But something that we were willing to accept, especially because it was the beginning, right? It was in the beginning of Jake's actual undertaking to actually fight a boxer. You know what I mean? He was knocking everybody out. But Jake Paul now plays the role of a promoter, fighter, and I'm pretty sure a media orchestrator to some extent, right? Shout out to the MVP team. Pretty sure he has wonderful people working in the background that we never see, but the guy plays a lot of roles. And you got one guy on the other side, Tank. Gervonta Tank Davis has only known boxing. He don't know nothing about YouTubing. He don't know nothing about none of that. He's just been fighting. So the exhibition fight, even though it's an exhibition, the disparities are going to make it interesting. And we got ourselves a fun fight, right? I can't really bash it too much. I mean, if you want to bash it, y'all can bash it. I mean, I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion. But to be honest, what are we getting here? We're going to get a good undercard. You got Alicia Baumgartner taking on the Quebec. Damn, bro. My man, the horror was cooking. I didn't even see it. Shout out to the horror. Says, true, it could be a fake fight without it being fixed. They could have an unspoken gentleman agreement to not hurt each other. Stank could get aside BSG. Oh, man. I hope you didn't mean that, Stank. Tank could get aside BSG to make Paul look good. I don't know what a BSG is. Let's see. Yeah. Go. True, it could be fake fight. Stank. There we go. The horror says Paul could lose and none of his casual fans would give a damn. He can continue this con for as long as he wants. But a boxer career at top, it's 5 years max. If that. Shit. It's true though, man. Look, Jake Paul can still, but the thing is that like I think being honest, can this be Jake Paul's last fight if he loses? That's a fair question. Listen, if you're not participating on the poll, I'll be closing it soon. It looks like 50% of you on the poll say that Gervonta Davis is protecting his legacy and therefore he's the one under most pressure. But then again, another 50% of you said neither. It's all entertainment. It's a big money grab. This is what this is. And if you're paying attention to the Q&A, we have the Q&A on the YouTube chat. So if you're unable to see it, I'll read it. It's does Gervonta Davis risk his reputation by taking on a YouTuber turned boxer, even if Jake is bigger? Can Gervonta Tank Davis get bad PR from this, right? Somebody's got to lose. With Jake Paul, we had the idea that, okay, when he was fighting Mike Tyson, right? Tyson's on his way out. Tyson's going to get this money before he, hangs the gloves. There was so much that was already preset or there was just all this pre-talk right before the fight where it was just like we were giving the cushion to Mike Tyson, right? If he were to lose. Are we doing that for Gervonta Tank Davis? Is there a cushion for him like there was for Mike Tyson? There's no cushion there for Gervonta. If he loses, what are we going to say? If right now you're saying that the size difference ain't a thing and Gervonta's still going to get him, what happens in an event where he loses? It's a bad look. It's a bad look. Let me know what you think on the chat. I know we got a few people who just joined us, so appreciate you guys. And of course, as soon as you slide in here, bat. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what bat means, but hit that like button, please. And make sure you tell a friend about the show. We're just doing some post-fight pre-presser or pre-fight presser banter here, talking about some of the things we've seen so far. Obviously, there's the New York presser that we just finished seeing a couple days ago. Was it yesterday? My goodness, they're just going back to back now in Florida, and I don't know what city they're going to be stopping at next, but the fight is going down in Florida. Georgia said no way. Florida picked it up. Yes way. All right. My man, the horror. But a boxer's career top is 5 years max. Good points. Good points. Shout out to the horror. So yeah, man, we got a David versus Goliath fight. A lot of room for disaster in this fight too, which makes it more interesting to watch, to be honest with you, because there's a recipe for disaster that could come about this fight, which makes you think even more about, is it scripted? Is it scripted? Just makes you think more. Because given that these disasters could happen if a Jake Paul starts to wail on Gervonta Davis like Logan Paul did on Mayweather. Mayweather walked away from that, right? He walked away from that. I mean, I don't know how much smaller. I think Tank is shorter than Mayweather too, right? He was small. And we need to look back, actually, and I'm going to try to find out because, we could give that comparison, right? I mean, look, Mayweather fought Logan. Gervonta's going to fight Jake Paul. I mean, the money's there. He's there to make. I'm just curious on how much Mayweather weighed when he fought Logan Paul. And of course, because I'm / producer / playing all the roles / Dolomite over here, I'm going to get that for y'all. Let's see. Also, okay, so Mayweather was weighing in at 155 when he fought Logan Paul at 189.5. So it was 190. It was 190 pounds that Logan Paul weighed in at, or 189.5, excuse me, about 86 kilograms, excuse me. So Floyd Mayweather, at 155, is that the weight that we're looking to see Gervonta come in at? Give or take maybe another 5-10 pounds. I mean, look, in comparison, you got Jake Paul who has to come in at 195, right? He needs to come in at 195. There's a gap there. 195. So if Gervonta comes in at 155, that's a 40-pound difference. And I got to check to see, bro, because I don't know how these contracts, how they're negotiated in the background. Does that contract, I mean, I doubt it, right? Because then that would be too much stress on Paul. So, to have a rehydration clause in there would be crazy. Because then you're asking Jake Paul to really excuse me, to really watch it in there. And then they were talking about the gloves. I don't know about y'all, right? I train in 16-ounce gloves. When you go to the gym and you're hitting the bag, you train in 16-ounce gloves. They got into it about the gloves. Calvin Ford stepped up to the plate, and he asked that as they were letting other reporters up into the pulpit to ask their questions. Calvin Ford stepped up, and he wanted to know why, they weren't letting them get the smaller gloves, right? Tank fights in 8s, and why they can't fight in 10s. And obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but like if you go from 16s to 10s to 8s, I mean, you're talking about a whole different ball game of getting stung. It's a whole different situation. It's a whole different situation. I'm telling y'all, when you put the smaller gloves on, I put 10-ounce gloves on, it's over. Anybody I touch, they're done. I'm telling you, it's that big of a difference, you know? It's like having MMA gloves. When you get this, you know, smaller you get, it makes that huge difference. You can feel, you know, you can feel your knuckles go through a little bit better into the punching bag fight, whenever you're using smaller gloves. And just checking out some of the things. Nakisa Bidarian did say he refused to confirm whether there's a hydration clause in the contract, though he hinted one might make sense given the size disparity. You know, these are you know, rehydration clauses, and Tank's put them on a couple of his opponents. He's put them on Ryan Garcia, famously in the last of his fights, where we saw that it really was detriment. And it's going to be the same thing for for Paul. If Jake Paul got a rehydration clause, depending on what that is, that's going to impact the fight, y'all. That's gonna definitely impact the fight. 12 rounds, and how many rounds are we fighting here? I know it's gonna be a 10-rounder. Doubt is anything less than that. But the rehydration clause is probably gonna be in there. We're gonna see how much more of these pressers reveal as you know, the fights get closer and closer. It is November 14th, so if you guys you know, are heading to Florida to watch this. I've actually watched Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley down in Florida, man, and it was an amazing experience, amazing crowd. It's pretty dope out there, and especially the people I was with, pretty cool people. And you know, it's fun to go out there and watch the fights, just anywhere really. But you know, when you're in Florida, man, you can't beat the weather out there and everything else. But again, November 14th, got a bunch of fights coming up, man. You got Benavidez Yardy, Brian Norman versus Devin Haney, right? The Dream. We got a lot of stuff going on. And another thing that popped out in this presser, Aiden Ross. You guys know the famous streamer Aiden Ross, right? Also heavy on the bag when he gambling. Yeah. AR don't play when he's out there gambling. AR be out here shooting from the hip. Him and Dana White. They be out there betting. I mean, these guys got they got their little smart approach. But yeah, crazy gamblers. But ended up gambling on their live as he went up to the pulpit when they were letting people come up and ask their questions. Aiden Ross stepped up and asked to bet Gervonta. You know, and it went from 500,000 to $1 million. And then Tank says, make it 2 million. I was like, whoa.
Easy. Let's make it $1 million.
Whoa.
Let's make it 2.
Jake.
Let's make it 2.
Shit, let's make it 2, champ. See, the confidence is always there. What's going on right now is that my man Jake is getting beat at what he usually beats people at these conferences. Usually he calls people's bluffs. People don't want to bet. People don't want to. And I mean, he tried to catch Gervonta's bluff a couple of times, and Gervonta wasn't stepping down. He's confident that he's gonna win. So we're gonna see how this turns out as we come closer to the fight. You know, it's just a quick take on it, and I'll be coming back tomorrow with more boxing talk. Of course, there's, like I said, there's so much going on, and we're still living off that high with the Canelo fight, which was, a good night of fighting. The underdog, my man Terrence Crawford, got the dub. And to be honest with you, man, Terrence is the golden ticket now. We'll talk more about that too on another show, but he's the golden ticket, bro. He could ask for whatever he want now. He got options, man. And he vacated that belt too, Abbas Baru. Definitely, crazy how he got the belt, man. He got the opportunity to be the WBA champ, and now in great position. And I love it when things like that happen. Good, humble people, you know. And the Bass surprised a lot of people in his matchup, his last matchup. He had, I'm telling you, he had, what's my man's name? Daggone thing, I forgot. But you know what he did. He had bro messed up at the last round. Let's see if we got anything. No, we don't. All right, man. Did I miss anything? No, I did not. We're gonna get out of here. This was a quick take on the the Florida presser. Stay tuned with us as we'll come through tomorrow morning in the morning live for the morning show. And I'll put some cool topics together for you guys. Yep, nobody there. I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate y'all, man. Tap in with me in the morning. If you didn't see us on... Okay, yeah, you did. All right, if you don't see us on visuals, you could always catch us on Sonic. That's right. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google, and all the podcast hosting sites that you probably are on, all right? So I appreciate you guys. I'm out of here. Take it down. Get up early tomorrow. Get this road work. Training again. You already know, champ.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.